Welcome to Mysterious Goings On. It's Alex Greenwood. You know, it is a testament to what an enjoyable time our guests have on this show when they actually come back. We've got a few who've done that, and this is someone who I'm tremendously thrilled to report is returning after appearing in 2017. It's Mickelson. He is a Grammy balloted musician, producer, singer, songwriter. He's got a new album coming, and he's been doing a lot of stuff since the last time we spoke in August of 2017. And I thought it was time we checked into this San Francisco-based artist and just see what's what. So welcome, Scott Mickelson, to Mysterious Goings On.
Hi, thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me back. It's a little different not having breakfast with you, but I'll do the best I can.
It was so good that time. Yeah, actually, when you toured through here, folks, he hung out with us, and it was a blast. Had a great time. I think I was hungover for 3 days, but otherwise, it was still a great time. What's been going on since then? Now, I know you got a new album coming out. You just hit the high notes for us, would you?
Well, and the last time I saw you was right before my previous record, A Wondrous Life, came out. And that record was, I was really happy with how that all worked out. I played most of the instruments and had done it all myself, the recording, the mixing, everything. So it was a real Mickelson effort, and as opposed to having a lot of guest musicians. And really the thinking at that point was that I'd begun to get so busy with producing other artists, I didn't have the time to schedule extra sessions to do my record. So I was just kind of going in and recording 2 hours here, 3 hours there, whatever I could get in, and just enjoyed doing everything myself, which I hadn't done since, the Fat Opie days years ago. And then I toured all over the country with that, and also did my first European tour. With that. I started getting press in the Netherlands and in Germany, and went over and did shows there, and came back. And what else did I do? Right before that, I had done a benefit compilation called After the Fire, Volume 1, which raised money for the people who had lost their homes in the Northern California fires. And that did really well. We raised probably by now maybe $6,000, which went to 2 charities in Sonoma County. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just really hard to get people to pay for money these days. And then after that came out and my record came out, I got asked to do a compilation for blanketthehomeless.org. Which this time I had a bit of a budget, and I was able to ask a new group of artists. Some of them were fairly well-known artists. One of them was Fantastic Negrito, who's a 2-time Grammy winner. And the LP did okay. It's still available, and just go to blanketthehomeless.org. It was created as a double LP, and it's really good. It's 13 out of the 15 tracks were all tracks that I recorded here, and I'm super proud of that. And then it came time for me to do my own record and tour, and I've been fairly compromised time-wise to do my record, and I needed to start my own touring, where right now I'm supposed to be in Seattle playing, but I'm not. And I needed to have product in Europe at this time. And knowing that I wanted to do an LP, you need about 6 months to manufacture LPs. So I had to, long story short, it ended up being only 7 new tracks plus a live track, an 8-song LP, because I was rushing to meet a deadline, even though I had more songs written. And then, of course, the deadline is fictitious because of the COVID. So I have this 8-song LP coming out called Drowning in an Inflatable Pool.
Yeah.
And I played most of the instruments on this, but what I really like about this record is because I was returning to it intermittently, it was always really fresh. So every time I went to a track, it could have been weeks in between. It was, hey, this is a good song. I don't remember writing that. That's pretty cool. It's one of the first records I've done where I actually enjoy listening to it when it's done. And the writing of it began shortly after the 2016 election. So I didn't know at this time how some of these songs were going to resonate. One of the first songs I wrote for the record was called "The Lockdown," and I wrote that in 2016. And it was really after Trump was elected and what he was doing with his executive orders and the undoing of every environmental law and everything that Obama did. To me at that time, the lockdown was that the country was in a lockdown. You know, we were kind of trapped in this environment where Congress had no say. And of course, now that the record's coming out during a lockdown, it seems poignant, sadly.
Okay, you're blowing my mind because I listened to that and I thought you must have written that towards the tail end here. I see. I thought the lockdown was literally there because it's a fairly, if you listen to the lyrics, folks, and you must get this album when it comes out, it's very apocalyptic, the imagery you elicit here. So you're telling me this was something you wrote in 2016?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was performing it solo on banjo in 2017. Yeah.
Oh
Or maybe 2016. Yeah, 2016, yeah. The words, they make no reference at all to disease, to COVID or that kind of thing. But it's the oppression is oppression, and it, there's, it's hard for me to recite lyrics unless I'm start from the beginning. But it holds up. Actually, I kind of felt weird putting it on the record because I didn't want it to seem like I was cashing in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was already the record was already being manufactured before the COVID.
So there is a line in 24 hours we'll all forget.
Yeah, I was referring to. Well, Trump was so almost. I hate to say immune, but he does these radical things and statements so quickly that every single day it's a new deflection. It's yesterday he said this, today he said this. So no matter what bullshit he puts forth, tomorrow we're not really going to remember it. In 24 hours we're going to forget. And he knows he's doing this. It's don't look over here, look over here. And so that's what I was referring to in that line.
And also the line, the devil is at your door. And...
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know me, Scott. I'm very intense about the lyrics, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about your work. And I don't be mad at me and say I'm being a jerk by saying this, but I just been listening to the new Dylan album. And of course, Love and Theft.
Jerk.
I know, you idiot. But I'm listening. And Love and Theft is one of my all-time favorites by him. But I'm serious. I see this. The way you use lyrical imagery, the way you craft your lyrics, is really reminding me of what Dylan's been doing a lot in the past 20 years. Not saying you're doing it because of him at all. Not saying that. I'm just saying, though, that it's reminiscent of that for me, which just warms the cockles of this writer's heart. I love it because you conjure up all this imagery. It's just interesting because, this is from a previous album, but don't buy the trailer if you can't back it up. And you've got all these other things where you seemingly, in less skillful hands, you would be jamming things together. And in your previous interview with us in 2017, you talked about how you do the music first, but you write down phrases and things that come to your mind, and then you go scavenge through those scraps and you put them together. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, that's the only way I write. I don't have any other method. I don't sit there and write words and take note. Like I don't know. I mean, I could show you. I probably well the people listening can't see it, but yeah, here you can see this is what I do.
Holy cow! So he's showing me some scratch paper, and there's lines and lines you've scratched. Now, there's several lines you scratched through of your handwriting. What does that mean?
That means I've used it in a song, so I don't.
Okay. I got to tell you something. I do the same thing for my books. This is, I shouldn't tell people this because I find a line I like, or I hear something, or I turn a phrase, I'll just write it down and then I'll somehow try to work it into a book later. I just think that's fun, and that's a good part of the process. So it
Yeah.
thrills me to see that you're continuing to do that with your own process.
I just, I don't, I've been writing songs, and I know it sounds weird, but I've been writing songs for 50 years now. I mean, so I, I don't really, I'm not one of these guys who I get in a mood and, I'm really deep right now and I need to sit down and write. I mean, I'm sure I have written songs in that way, but that's just too much pressure to sit there and say, okay, now I have to write. It's like, it would be like an artist going up to a blank canvas and just say, okay, paint a picture and have it not be abstract. It's just not how I like to work. Because I've been doing this for so long, my motivation to write is I get sick of playing my old songs. So I need something new to play. And it's more about the physicality of playing and singing the songs and that vibration that I crave. And when I want to play, I go, oh crap, I don't want to play this anymore. I really need to write something, just write new stuff for my own sake.
Right.
And then I eventually get some music, some riffs or melodies, and then I'm like, crap, now I got to sit down and actually write the fucker. And then I sit there, and it takes as long as it takes. It's usually a few days, maybe 10 days at tops. I've learned over time not with any placeholder lines, where you do your first draft and you have to be honest, is this a placeholder line? Every lyric has to be perfect. And there's only so many lines on a song. So it's not like writing a novel. As a songwriter, if you're only, writing 15 or 18 lines, they should all be perfect, in my opinion.
Well, and of course, I think you succeed. So let me walk back for a second here. So you were Grammy balloted for Flickering, for folk and for roots music, I believe.
Well, it was for best folk artist for the record and best roots music performance for Hercules and
Iron Man. Okay, so that was the style of Flickering. Then you took it to a Wondrous Life, where you're a big banjo guy, which I love, but there's more electric guitar on A Wondrous Life, as I recall.
Yeah.
You kind of decided to go that. I'm not saying there wasn't any banjo, but there was a lot more electric guitar, right?
I mean, I had a band for 20 years called Fat Opie. We were very rock. We began really like grungy rock, and that's when we got signed to Neil Young's management and all that. And then one of the last records we did became very alternative, and
Was it Victoryville? No,
my favorite band, Tom York, Radiohead.
Oh, Radiohead, sure.
And Radiohead was really exploding, and it was hard not to be influenced by what they were doing. And so I made a record called Airstream, with a Fat Opie record called Airstream, which I still think is a great record. And that was, I think, A Wondrous Life is very similar to that, and the way I use loops and a lot more electric guitar and a lot more complexity. I guess it is similar. Yeah, similar.
Well,
so it wasn't a new thing. It was newer because I hadn't done it in a while.
Right, and that one had the song that we played last time you were on. "Crazy is the Only Place for a Saint," which I love. But the whole album's fantastic. "No Such Luck" is great. Some of the great cuts. I remember though, I get in these ruts. It's not a bad rut to be in, but I find something I love. So I was playing Flickering all the time, and I was sharing it on social. And finally, one time you pinged me back on Twitter, said, dude, I got a new album out.
Yeah, that's a typical line. Is someone will like, I'll send a record to like a good friend, and they'll say, yeah, I like this song. And I'll say, oh great, you hit all the other ones. It's just a thing.
No, that's okay because I've got 8 books, and I always say they always say well, I just love blank, and I'm like, well, what about the first one?
Yeah.
Nobody ever says they love the first one. So,
Oh,
hey, that's okay. There's 6 or 7 more after that. But if we carry this going forward, though, so you went from more of a folk edge to a more alt rock edge. Where are we with Drowning? Where are Drowning in the inflatable pool? What kind of sound are we talking about here?
well, I didn't write. I'm trying to think now. Jagged Tooth, the first single, which I'm super excited about.
Yes.
July 15th and excuse me, July 25th. And I have an animated video coming out 2 days before on July 23rd. And that'll world premiere in American Songwriter. So that'll be cool. The video is great. And that song, lyrically, I mean, I wrote this at least a couple of years ago, but the lying culture that we live in, it's like every day it's a battle of lies, and and how it's become so normal. How it was so shocking. Alternative facts was so shocking in 2016, and now it's every single thing out of Trump's mouth is a lie. I mean, and half, 40-50% of the population just accepts it. And
Yeah.
It's so in Jagged Tooth, the character, every single thing that comes out of his mouth is a lie, a deflection, or an excuse. And it was like writing from Trump's brain.
Is that where the line is? I was doing my best to tell you the truth, but every time I cut my tongue on this jagged tooth, so is that from his? That's from the perspective of the Trump, the Trump character.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And it's catchy as hell, though. By the way, folks.
And production wise, I really wanted to. I've been producing a lot. I mean, I've been producing much more than people see because it's one thing when you do big records that get press and have bigger names on it. But I work with a lot of artists who, it's not their first job and they don't have as much experience perhaps, and which puts me as a producer to task more to make a great record. And I love it. Everything becomes more of a collaboration and I've just gotten really, really good at it. So by the time I go to do my record, my skill level increases. It takes me 2.5 years in between records. I've spent thousands of hours producing in between. So by the time I do mine, and I can really, I'm not under any timeline, I can really use all my gear and all my time to experiment and do things. I actually did this how-to video of Jagged Tooth. Did you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
That was kind of a very quick way of showing. But so for that song, I really wanted to keep it much more minimal. I tried to keep this record much more minimal, much less loops, less playing with MIDI and experimenting, just more with more intent. So with Jagged Tooth, I had the riff, So I just had that, and I had my drums from my drummer in LA, and I just went out to my twin, and I grabbed my ribbon mics, and I just dialed it in exactly the way I wanted to hear it. Maybe I was thinking like Black Keys or something. And once I had that done, my bass style is always, I love Carol Kay and really just plucky. Actually, I think I did the bass through the Fender Twin amp. It's kind of like, not a lot of experimenting. I just did it, and then the piano takes me forever because I'm not really a piano player. And then the vocals, I always lean towards Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys and things like that. So I think for this record, there wasn't a lot of, I don't know what I'm going to do with this song like there was on A Wondrous Life. With that, it was a lot of, I have these cool songs, but I I really don't know what I want to do. So each one was a laborious exploration to find the sound, whereas this one is more like, I know what kind of song this is, and I'm just going to do each one great. And, you know, at least that was my intent. So I guess that's the difference. And part of that is because I didn't have it, not like I was rushing it, but it was, I don't have enough time to just fuck around and you know, let's get this record done. Let's do this. I don't need to try every little possible patch on every little thing anymore. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. I think it'd be too far to say it's down and dirty, because it's not down and dirty. It's not like you just said there's no, you know, you just came in the studio, it's second take, it's done. It's not that.
No. I spent the same amount of hours, just less hours, I think, endlessly experimenting.
Yeah. Fiddling with it a bit. Yeah.
I think it was more focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also, it is a little bit dirty. I mean, I add dirt a lot. And when I sent it to, I had to use a different mastering engineer than I usually use. And he called me up and he said, you know, your vocals are distorted. And, you know, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I made them that way. You know, there's a reason why they're distorted. It works in the song. And so we had to sort a few things out. But yeah.
So there's seven new songs, but then you did a cover of Flickering, right? That's a live cover of it, though.
Yeah, there was. I hate to say it, but I was like, well, first it was just going to be 6 songs because I had 6 songs in the can, and then I had one of those days where I wrote a song fairly quickly, "Only the Wicked Run."
Yeah.
And I just loved the lyrics on it, and I said I need to put this on the record. And I made a very stripped down production. And then you can't have an LP with 4 songs on one side and 3 on the other. I mean, that's like, you just can't do that. So I needed an 8th song, and I literally had to ship out the masters like in a day or so. So I was just going through, I didn't have another acoustic song to just crank on there. I didn't want to do that. And I was looking through live performances and unreleased stuff, and I stumbled on this one performance that I always liked of Flickering, because I think it was the record release party for Flickering, and it just really captured the real essence of the song because it was fresh. And I had most of the same players that recorded it, and the room was this packed room in San Francisco, and the vibe, it's just somebody's cell phone. It was just on a cell phone.
Is that right? Oh my gosh.
And then also the woman who was singing with me, she had since died of cancer.
Oh. And
so there was just a lot of good feeling on it. And I'm like, I wonder if I can just kind of, you know, extract it from this YouTube video and the audio and get it sounding as good as I can possibly get it. And so it's not great quality, but I think the performance, for me, I'm glad it's immortalized. And it also reminds me a little bit of, you know, I was a big Neil Young fan, and some of his stuff in the 70s, you know, he would throw on some pretty obscure tracks on records, you know, like, where did this come from? You know, they weren't studio recordings. They were just things that he felt like putting on the record. So I felt like it was in that vein.
I loved it. Of course, again, you can make fun of me again because I do realize you do have other albums since Flickering, but I love that song. So I was really tickled when you shared with me. I'm
never going to play it again.
Well, you played it in Kansas City too, and I was just so excited. Is there any way you can share some music today that I can drop into this, or do you want to play something, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I'm happy to play, but I need to get a glass of water.
Why don't you do that?
All right, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Hello, this is Euro Satan, and you are listening to Mysterious Goings On. As they say, the devil is in the detail, and I say the detail is in this devil.
Which one do you want to do?
I'll do Jagged Tooth.
Oh, really? Yeah. So if anything, if I were, you know, a big fancy A&R man, I would be like, definitely Jagged Tooth would be a single, and definitely The Lockdown. Do you even think about singles anymore that way? Do you think of it that way? Because nobody, as you said to me 3 years ago, nobody buys albums quite the same way anymore. It's just they hear one song maybe, or how do you even go there?
Well, it is. I think it's kind of almost all about singles these days. It's Spotify and singles. So the idea is to release a couple singles before the LP. So the second single will be No Translation for No, the second song on the record.
That's a great one. Yeah.
So that'll come out August 1st, or I think. So I don't write singles, but you can get a sense of what's kind of the poppier one or whatever.
I don't think anybody who listened to Hall & Oates' Private Eyes album thought anything on the second side was a single. Let me shut up for a minute and let Mickelson sing his latest, Jagged Tooth.
Fleeing the inferno, I'm running down the hill like a quiet revolution. It's always a solution, asking about who we know and the back of my claim. I'm out here on furlough, serving 30 years for selling half off, but doubling the price. I asked the wrong person for the right advice. I was doing my best to tell you the truth, but every time I cut my tongue on this jagged tooth, jagged tooth. I didn't mind losing the wife, but I didn't mind losing the house and my upright piano and the rest of my backbone. I swore I would learn to play, start a band with a new Billy Joel. Maybe you can take me again for everything that I own. I was doing my best to tell you the truth, but every time I cut my tongue on this jagged tooth, jagged tooth. My honesty's replaced by the lack of curiosity. I'm a crisis of my own making. Don't string together the words I've said. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. I was doing my best to tell you the truth, but every time I cut my tongue on this jagged tooth, jagged tooth. I was raised feral, deep in the city by domesticated people. They taught me survival, how to beg, how to borrow. So you need to be careful. I may be amoral, my halls are filled with dreams I've killed, and the people who live there, their lives are in peril. I was doing my best to tell you the truth, but every time I cut my tongue on this jagged tooth, I was doing my too.
Oh man, fantastic! Jagged Tooth, Mickelson, from the latest album coming out August 15th. Drowning in an inflatable pool. That was Jagged Tooth.
Sometimes I remember the words, sometimes I don't.
Well, you know, you can be forgiven. It's not like it's Flickering. By the way, could you do Flickering? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, it's weird. This playing and not in front of like actual audiences. It's really hard. It's just weird because it's like I'm in my office, you know, my phone buzzes, so I look at the phone. It's just, you know, I get distracted. It sucks not playing live. It really.
That's something I wanted to ask you about because you've been doing a fair amount of Facebook Lives and et cetera, doing that. And it's hard because you don't get that feedback, or you do get the feedback and it's the scrolling comments. But I do a live thing once a week. It's a cocktail thing. It's silly. I make drinks and I try to tell jokes, but I have to read what people are saying while I'm trying to mix drinks. So I can't imagine trying to strum the guitar, remember the lyrics, and look over and see what Gloria said.
I'm blind without my glasses anyway. I couldn't read it anyway.
Oh, well, there you go. You know, it's a whole production, but it's yet another skill set you've had to add on top of being a producer, singer, songwriter, touring artist, all those things. This is the thing I wanted to get to, though. Do you think that once, and I think it will be under control eventually, do you think once this virus is under control and we can move about freely amongst the states and the nations, do you see yourself, though, continuing to do that kind of outreach in addition to touring?
When you say in addition to what outreach are you talking about?
Like Facebook Lives and.
I don't. You know what? I don't know. I think what I did enjoy doing is making the video, like the how-to video, and doing like other things just because I have the time.
Yeah.
So I could see myself doing more video kind of stuff because it's just another outlet. You know, the other thing about doing the Facebook Live or these live and this, you know, at home clips is there's no adrenaline. And I think that's what I, you know, when you go out in front of an audience, even if it's two people, you get a burst of adrenaline, and that just triggers things in your brain, and it opens up your voice. There's a whole physical reaction. And when you're just doing it in your rehearsal room or in my control room, I have zero adrenaline, and it's harder to play. It's harder to sing. I guess it's like having sex with a condom. I don't know, but it's just not the same.
Well, no, I used to be an actor, and I always felt like I was a solar panel, and the audience was the sun. And if there's no sun, you're just a low energy. It's hard. I always needed to draw on that, and I'm almost positive you're going to agree with me on this, almost. But I mean, your performance can change even in a tiny way, just based on how the audience seems to be reacting. Like to me as an actor, like if I delivered a line a certain way, I could feel that, and it might be right? Maybe it's a different line reading at the matinee the next day, and the audience reacted a little differently, and you can kind of adjust.
Yeah.
But when you're staring at a little tiny camera on your computer, it's all flat affect.
It is. It's no, and I mean, I do the best I can. But I do it because I need to.
Right.
I need to keep doing stuff, but I can't say I enjoy it. It's really like I have to force myself to do it, as opposed to, you know, I'll play anywhere if anybody wants to hear me. But I don't know. As far as doing that, I don't know. Maybe if broadcasting live, I guess if we could do stuff. I mean, it's been suggested to me because I have a nice studio with a nice big room with high ceilings for, you know, maybe doing some kind of a live thing, a live broadcast with musicians and interviews. I could see maybe doing something more like that, where it's a little more interactive with other people, you know, in the same room with me, so I'm not by myself.
Kind of like a live from Daryl's house kind of thing. I could see you doing that. You would be great at that. I would love it if you, because that's what I'm trying to get at.
You have a thing for Hall & Oates.
I love Hall & Oates, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on, Daryl Hall. Come on, really? You're gonna say, come on, that voice. Come on.
No, he's a great singer, very talented.
No, actually, but he had live from Daryl's house. What I love about that is like he would always And he's got this big kind of area, and he would have his session people with him, and then they'd cycle in a new band. It just seems to me in San Francisco, once things are opened up again, if you have a space, maybe every month or every quarter, you might do something similar.
Mickelson house, yeah.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I have thought about it because first of all, musicians have to be nice to me first. And when that happens, I'll consider doing it. But I have, because I could also at the same time, make professional mixes of it. So it would be a good thing to have. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll think about that right now.
I hope you will. I'm just trying to think that, yes, we've got this, here comes the horrible cliche new normal, but I'm going to be bringing some things from this to what I'm doing in the future. I have to. I don't even just mean my writing. I'm talking about my day job, all this stuff. I did a little bit of this before, but now it's like it's how I'm making my living to a degree. So I was curious about that. So I want to ask you,
how much do I have to pay for this?
We'll work that out later. Usually I'm pretty cheap. I think you've already given me a free download of your album, so I think we're good.
Yeah, but you only listen to Flickering, so.
No, lately though, it's been Wondrous Life. So I'll get onto this one in about a year. No, there was something we did cover last time that I've got to catch you up on real quick here, because we talked about the business, and forgive me if I got this wrong. I re-listened to the interview today when I was hiking. We talked about how the music business changed, and how you said there is no music business as it was even 10 years ago. You said something like that, and you said now it's all Spotify and it's this, and Spotify kind of has a spotty record of taking care of the artists anyway. But now I'm seeing that you're really, are you having to lean more into Spotify just to get it, or how's that going in the relationship?
Really, the music business, at least from how I see it, is right now it's Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, it's social networking, it's people. I fought the whole Spotify transition because I'm old, and it was really hard to all of a sudden see music become a free thing. And I know, at least from my experience, and I'm sure many others, once Spotify came out, no more CDs got sold.
Yeah.
And once people start expecting music to be free, it completely loses value. I mean, if you were allowed to go into the cinemas and it was free, or you spent $5 a month and you could just go see any movie anywhere, anytime, as many times as you wanted, why would you ever pay $13 to go see a movie again? It can't go back, and it's just how it is. It evolved into that, and no, you can't make money on Spotify, and so it's just the exposure. And then what that was doing, it was reaching new audiences, and it could help with touring, but like everything else in social networking, it's all manipulated in numbers, so you can, you pay to play. If you want more plays on Spotify, you pay for it. If you want more followers on this, you pay for it. You pay for it one way or another. You pay for it by hiring promoters, or people flat out buying plays and things like that.
Wow.
So, I mean, like if I really wanted 100,000 plays of a song, I could just pay for it, and it would happen. So it's all bullshit, really. I mean, there are those who do, of course, they catch on, and people do go viral and things like that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but
right.
it's all pay to play, and it's all an illusion. A lot of this stuff. I mean, you could have a million followers and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of plays, and no one will show up at your show. They don't necessarily. It's not real.
Right.
And I guess the way you could combat that is you could say, not combat, but you could debate that would be back in the heyday of the music business, in order to get press and get radio play, the labels were paying for it.
Yeah.
So
payola, right?
So it's the only difference is now is it's a do-it-yourself payola. Once the DIY world, in anybody with a computer can make any sound and upload it to iTunes and Spotify.
Yeah.
And of course, markets develop and people know, hey, I bet those people will pay me if I can get them 100 more plays of that. And, it's just how it is.
Yeah, between that and the game showification of new artistry, I mean, the whole, all the game shows of, The Voice and all that. So I don't know how you feel about those things. I don't particularly love that. I kind of like the idea of maybe not winning a contest to be discovered. I kind of like the idea, and I'm not a musician, wish I was, but I just don't have that ability. But I kind of like the idea of working, toiling, honing my craft for years even, and then maybe making it rather than winning a game show. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. How do you feel about that stuff?
I mean, I don't sing cover songs. That's just my own thing. So that's, I guess, I have a different point of view, and obviously I'm in the minority of that. But I actually don't see anything harmful about those kinds of shows. It's entertainment. It's a TV show. You can find. I know people who have been on them and who have auditions, and they give you a list of songs to choose from, and you sign over all your rights, and it's fine. I mean, it's just a talent show. It's a heavily marketed talent show. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, the kind of music these people end up doing, it suits that audience. So it's not. That's a great
way to think about it. I guess I just think that all the things. I'm an old man too, and I just think a lot of the things that I grew up believing about the business and about music, it just all seems to be a little bit under assault. Not that there weren't game shows and talent shows since TV began, radio, but I don't know. To me, it just seems so transparently awful. But again, you're right, and there are some good artists who have definitely made a career doing that. So
I also think those shows may have been a catalyst for. So much music is cover music now. So many artists just do covers, and I guess there's nothing really wrong with it. It just maybe that, I don't know. I mean, I know people who have done recently whole albums of just cover songs, and I don't know. I think it's just not my thing. It's not my thing. It's one thing to do a cover song. You're doing an interpretation, but it all becomes, the more everything becomes the same, the less special things are. And I do what I do when I want, how I want, and that's why I'm the roaring success I am.
And I guess that sadly that means there will not be a Mickelson cover album of Hall & Oates' greatest hits.
Only Maneater. I'm just going to do that song 12 different ways. The reggae version, the EDM version.
Oh man. Okay. I know we're getting closer on time, but before we go, so it's coming out, it's Drowning in Inflatable Pool coming August 15th. Now this show will air. This show will post a week from today. Today's the 15th. We're recording of July. It'll be out on Thursday, a week from tomorrow, a week from Thursday. So we'll be a little bit ahead of everything. But when was the date of the animated video?
The animated video is July 23rd.
Okay, we might just be right around there.
Drops on Spotify and iTunes on the 25th.
Okay, and I have all those links of all your various platforms. I'll put it in the show notes, everybody. In addition, I'll have links to Scott's initial interview here on MGO. That one's kind of fun to listen to because I'm clearly hungover when I'm doing it.
Both.
But it was, I don't care. I learned a lot from you. It was good. Before I let you go, though, any last words that you'd like to share with everybody, all the listeners? You've been so generous with your time and your thoughts today.
Oh, I really appreciate you reaching out and staying in touch with me, and the support you, Alex, who have given me over the years. It means a lot. And, I hope that the listeners, and regardless of your political bent, that 6 months from now we find ourselves in a more optimistic place, and things can and will get better. We just have to be good to each other and ourselves until then.
I couldn't agree more. Remember, it's mickelsonmusic.com. The link is in the show notes. From there, you can find everything. I would highly recommend you follow him on Spotify, follow him on SoundCloud, follow him on YouTube. All those links will be there, and on Facebook. And by the way, when he does these live events, give him some love. Show up, say something, put it in all caps so he can see it with his glasses off, and and we'll do that. But Scott Mickelson, thanks so much for being on Mysterious Goings On. We will catch you hopefully before your next album. Maybe I'll just try and Shanghai you sometime and just say, how the hell are you for 5 minutes sometime?
That would be great. Anytime. Thank you so much.
All right, my brother. And thank you, listeners. Remember, the show notes will be at mgopod.com. There's also some links where you can become not a subscriber, but just a supporter. Maybe throw some money in the tip jar, help keep things going here. You know, baby's need a new pair of shoes, that kind of stuff. So mgopod.com. And of course, you will find the complete back catalog of episodes since right around 2016 when we debuted this show. Now, and until next time, keep reading.
Support for this episode has been provided by Salesforce Quip. The world has changed, and the way we work must change too. Teams must be reconnected, sales processes redefined, and customers re-engaged. Quip can help. With Salesforce Quip, businesses can get back to growth faster and stay productive, collaborative, and connected. Reimagine business as usual with Salesforce Quip. To learn more, visit quip.com.